And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Salutations, listeners. Welcome into RBLR Bucs. I'm your co-host, Musab, and as always, so happy you could join us. Well, it's July in Tampa, which means two things. Heat indexes through the roof, and Buc fans like me counting down the days till football. We're right there with you. 24 days until we finally get a glimpse of what this 2025 squad looks like under the lights. Preseason or not, it's football, it's our Buccaneers, and it's almost there. And if the summer blues had us in a chokehold back in June, July's got us fighting through it with one thing on our minds, seeing these rookies get after it. Hashtag Shiloh over Shador. You already know the vibes. But hey, shout out as always to the rest of the RBLR squad holding it down across Tampa Bay. Rays making noise, Rowdies battling, boats loading up, in our beloved Tampa Bay Sun enjoying the post-off-season championship. But, you know, they're still making moves. So if you're not checking out their pods too, please do fix that. But don't forget, we want to hear from you. Your takes matter. Your hot one, your cold ones, I've been holding into this for months. Hit the comments, hit the mentions, chop it up. All right, this podcast ain't press coverage. It's open ears always. All right, so today we are flipping the hips and staying in phase because it's cornerback talk on deck. And with me, two guys I'm proud to line up alongside. Well, you know the name, Donnie Abraham. A technician, steady, smart, always where he needed to be. That's the kind of presence we got with Zach Blaine in the house. He is dependable, sharp, no wasted steps, locks down his side of the mic every single week. Mr. Zach Blaine, what's the good word, my friend?
Oh, man, you make me feel so good about myself, brother. I can't thank you enough, man. No, everything's good over here, brother. I'm getting ready for my birthday tomorrow and just kind of hanging out.
Well, hey, man, happy early birthday, man. I mean, make sure to set a reminder to make sure I say happy birthday to you tomorrow as well. But, hey, man, that's great. And, of course, you know, we got introduce our iconic puzzle, or the final puzzle piece of this trio. Across from him, you already know the name, Rondé Barber. Instincts, vision, playmaker through and through. Well, that's the vibe this guy brings. Energy, swagger, and always looking to bait you into the wrong throw. Mr. Carter Brantley, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Musab. How are you?
So far, so good.
Hold on.
I'm just gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Listen, I understand there's only one Rondé Barber, but I had
not even that. Trio. He deserves Rondé Barber, brother. That is the newly engaged Mr. Carter Brantley.
That is true.
Well, intercepted myself a girl. So
here we go. Let's go, man. Congratulations,
yeah, wow.
Carter.
We got a birthday boy and engaged man. Man, I have to do something with my life.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you have a birthday too, Musab. When's your birthday, Musab?
It's in November. So.
Oh shit, we're a ways away. All right,
it's all good.
No, don't worry about it. We'll get there.
You are above 6 foot tall, so you got that on us, man.
That's true. I'm only 5'10", technically, and my girlfriend never lets me forget it, even though I say I'm 6 feet tall. But I'm not sure 5'10". But that's neither here nor there. Like Musab said, we're talking about corners this week, and I'm pretty excited. Just to kind of get some groundwork going, we're mixing it up a little bit. We're doing things a little bit different with our rankings this week. If you've listened to us before, hey, thanks for coming back. If you haven't yet, hit that like and subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. But if you're brand new, you'll get to hear this brand new format, and you won't even know what we're talking about. But we're going from bottom to top, and we have 15 names this week because what we did was, or rather what our producer did was he collected all of our top 10 rankings, put them into some fancy machine, and then it spit out scores for all of them. So we're just going to go through, we'll throw out some names. We'll talk about some stats, what's important, what's maybe not as important as people think. We'll talk about how we arrived at these conclusions, because I don't know about y'all. I wanted to throw this question out before we even started. For me, cornerback was the hardest position to evaluate. There's no clear cut, true, like, oh, these numbers matter. Like, it's just like, if a cornerback does his job right, he doesn't get a stat. Like, he doesn't get a box score check mark. He doesn't get a reception. He doesn't get receiving yards. He doesn't get a completion. Like if he does his job, the quarterback just doesn't throw it in his way, So it's really hard to evaluate because a lot of people say, oh, interceptions, pass breakups, and all that stuff. And there's some truth to that. But Zach, how did you go about making your decisions? And yeah, I don't know. Is this the hardest position for you, or maybe you view it differently?
So I love corner. That's what I played growing up. It's one of my favorite positions, but it is hard to look at just numbers and go, that guy's good because of this number, at least when it comes to corners.
Absolutely.
For me, it's more of a vibe. Like, I don't, it's not that loose. It's not just like, yeah, whatever I like. But it's like watching them play and seeing how little a quarterback throws that way, or how if a quarterback is throwing that way, how does he look? Honestly, this one to me is more of an eye test than any of the other positions, because you're exactly right. Like if you're good, you're not going to get the ball thrown to you a majority of the time. So it's hard to go based off just numbers because of that. So I think you're kind of spot on. Like it's at this point, there's so many ways to look at it. I just kind of it's more of an eye test at corner, which is cool for me because that's my favorite kind of like way to look at a player.
Absolutely.
So it works out good for me in this situation.
Yeah, no, I 100% get it. Because it's just like I don't know. It's really tough. There's a reason why it's one of the because you only focus on a cornerback really when they're doing something wrong.
Yes, exactly.
Like, cornerbacks get the most attention when they're getting burnt, and that happens a lot because it's the NFL. Like these wide receivers are insane. Like these quarterbacks are insane. The offenses has so many advantages. So it's just really hard to really parse together any kind of list. But we still tried. And Mr. Treek, how about you, man? What were your thoughts while you were putting together this list? Eye test versus numbers. What went into your thoughts?
A little bit of both, I would say.
Sure.
I mean, this is definitely a hard position to really kind of, analyze like that. Just because, I mean, there are so many factors. I mean, we can just, look at the stats and say this guy's the best, but, especially with like the top of the rank guys, I mean, they have a name for themselves. And I mean, it's because of, how they move, the footwork, the hips. But what I also like is just, kind of the other things, going against big bodied receivers, lining up against someone like DK Metcalf, for example, those kind of things as well. Because, in football, it's any given Sunday. So, you look good a couple of weeks. That doesn't mean, you got it in the bag and, you're him. So, and same thing, goes as well as, just because, someone, were to give up a catch or something. I mean, there's also factors like, well, maybe, your safety blew the coverage,
Exactly. So
yeah. There's just a lot to measure. And then, I mean, as you all said as well, I mean, if you're locking down guys, you're not getting much kind of, you're not getting the spotlight on you, or
right.
I mean, only really those who really know you, or those who really watch the game,
for sure,
really kind of find that.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, if a cornerback has a good game, then his name didn't really come up very much on the broadcast, So that's a tough thing. That makes it really difficult to evaluate. But regardless, we'll get right into it. We'll enough hemming and hawing. So I'll kind of throw these first few names out just because we all three of us had just one of us put these guys on our list. So I figured we'd kind of rapid fire this first part of the list. Maybe mention a guy that stood out, or maybe raise someone's eyebrows. Cooper DeJean from the Eagles, he had a really tremendous rookie year. Deron Bland from the Cowboys, really interesting name. He's had some high interception totals over the past few years. Garrett Williams from the Cardinals. He's a bit of an unsung guy. He was the guy that I picked to be 9th on my list, and I really, really liked him. He grades really, really well in PFF in a lot of different areas. But he grades really well in zone coverage. He's the best zone corner according to PFF grades. Then Christian Benford, and he's from the Bills, in case you haven't heard of him, and Charvarius Ward from the 49ers. So, Musab, I'll start with you, man. Which of those guys really stood out for you, or maybe made you raise your eyebrows? Any names pop out from those first few names?
I was probably gonna say just because I was gonna say Deron Bland. I feel like he's gonna come back, have another kind of highlight reel season, or hopefully he does. I mean, I wasn't aware of as to how much he balled out, in 2023.
For sure.
But doing this kind of research, I mean, he had 5 pick sixes in 2023. A little bit more limited in 2024. I mean, he only had 7 games, but he's healthy now. He's back in the game, and I feel like I think he could be a big piece on the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Cowboys, you kind of say the same for Trayvon Diggs, which I don't think any of us had him ranked, but that defense is so aggressive because they were having, Lawrence and Parsons on the edge. So you could play really aggressive because Parsons or Lawrence is going to get there. So Bland and Diggs could kind of jump routes a little bit more aggressively than other defenses potentially. So yeah, he took full advantage and he made some stuff happen. Absolutely. In 2023, really exciting player that year. Like you said, just wasn't able to stay necessarily healthy last year. And it was also weird season for Dallas in general. Just, Dak getting hurt, a lot of Cooper Rush games, just overall weird season. So we can give him a mulligan. I definitely a worthy kind of a worthy inclusion at the end of the list because he could very well jump back up, like you said. Zach, how about you, man? What names kind of stood out for you, or is there anyone you wanted to highlight from this first group?
The two big ones were Cooper DeJean. I actually had him ranked as the 10th best corner on my list. The best rookie corner all season last year.
Yeah, he was outstanding.
And for him to be a guy who comes into a Philly defense and kind of makes a name for himself, along with Quinion Mitchell, who also was really good. He's one of my kind of honorable mention guys.
Sure.
I just think that his advanced coverage scores for PFF were really high for a rookie, really for any corner, and especially a rookie. So I think he was my number 10 guy, but to see him on the list at all, I think it's impressive for a rookie to be there. And then Christian Benford, not Deron Bland. I actually had him ranked as my 8th best corner. Again, his coverage grades were all really solid. Unfortunately, he played for a Bills defense that wasn't great. So, I mean, they had, if I'm not mistaken, they had trouble getting to the quarterback last season. So when you give, the quarterback enough time to do stuff, your corners numbers aren't going to look as great. But he allowed only 0.76 yards per coverage snap, which is when you're in coverage against a wide receiver in that area. So 0.76 yards over the last, last 2 seasons. They only missed 3 tackles since 2023. So all around, I think that one, he's one of my favorites on this list.
Yeah, he's an unsung guy too. I really love that Christian Benford made it on one of our lists because Buffalo's been through some stuff with their defense. They got rid of Trey White. They got rid of both of their starting safeties. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are no longer there. It's been a tumultuous last season for this Bills defense. And like you said, they struggled. But Benford was, I don't want to say the lone bright spot, but he was one of the few really, really solid players. Matt Milano, their star linebacker, was out most of the year. They had some weird stuff going on the defensive side of the ball. So for Benford to step up like that was just huge. And like you said, he was outstanding. Really, really good stuff there. So the next few names that we'll go through, we've got Denzel Ward, AJ Terrell from the Falcons. He's an in-division guy. Jalen Ramsey and Christian Gonzalez. So I want to focus on Christian Gonzalez because for me, I had him 5th and no one else had him in their top 10. So I know that's kind of a bold thing, but man, he's a really good corner. He was drafted really high for New England a few years ago. He's not great with PFF grade, like 20th PFF grade, only a 76, but top 10 in reception percentage allowed, 4th lowest passer rating allowed when targeted. I don't know. I'm expecting big things from Christian Gonzalez. Like with all these lists, I tried to make a good balance of who this player is right now, as well as who I think he could be next year. And for me, Christian Gonzalez was a really big name. But I know Musab, you mentioned that you had Jalen Ramsey on this list, right? I was kind of surprised. I was kind of surprised that Zach, you didn't have him. I felt like that.
I don't think he's that good anymore.
Ooh, wow.
I was talking about
this was my more kind of ballsy pick, just because I feel like people want to write off him, a little too quick. I feel like he still brings value and versatility. He does a little bit of everything, the blitzing and the slot on the outside. I know he's not, your dream kind of, man coverage kind of guy, but hey, look, he led the league, or he led all corners in blitzes last season. So I feel like he still got it in the bag, and maybe a change of scene as well with the Steelers, because this was also kind of looking at, the upcoming season. So what's up?
I said he just had a change of scenery to go to Miami.
Well, he's got another change as well, man.
That's right.
You need a little bit more change.
Is he graded out as 25th in coverage scores? are in coverage grade. I get that he does more than just play corner. Like he blitzes, which not a ton of corners do anymore. But the lack of coverage is a little worrisome to me. He's a great player and has been a great player, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him have a good season. So I understand the ranking. I couldn't put him in my list with seeing the coverage grades the last kind of 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think this is very much.
He's more like a chess piece. I think that's what it is. And I'm just thinking,
put him at safety. Got him on my list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think this is very much like when I had Christian McCaffrey on my list, and then I took him off.
Based off kind of what he's done, not what we're expecting.
Yeah, but then again, it's very similar to Christian McCaffrey because the talent is there for him to jump right back onto this list for me.
100%.
Especially with T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. Highsmith, yeah. Both of those guys are always. I mean, Cam Hayward up the middle, like that Steelers defense is insane. It's going to be crazy talented. So Jalen Ramsey has a real shot to do some crazy things. Maybe rack up some interceptions, some pass breakups. Some more of the counting stats, just because guys are going to have to get rid of the ball a lot quicker, and maybe
they've got 3 solid corners over there now.
Yeah, him and Joey
Porter Jr. and Ramsey now. So I think that like I said, I wouldn't be shocked to see him see him have a really good season because of the people he has around him, and I think that that's important to think about. Like next year, I wouldn't be shocked to see us put him on the list in the top 10, top 5 because of the people around him. I do think he's going to get the ball thrown at him more, which could be really good for him.
Yeah, because he's crazy talented, but he has had some I don't know, he was in Jacksonville and he kind of had a weird exit there, and then he's had this weird exit with Miami. So maybe him kind of playing under Coach Tomlin might help a lot too.
He's also got his own little vibe to it.
Oh
well.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? He's so I feel like he kind of brings that dog out of him on the field as well. So also a little bit entertaining too. So
yeah, it could be a match made in heaven, or it could go very poorly very quickly. I think that those are sort of the only 2 outcomes. I don't know if there's a middle outcome for him.
Yeah, I don't see a middle ground for Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that kind of leads into my Christian Gonzalez debate, and I wanted to put him in my top 10. Mm-hmm. He was the very top of my honorable mentions,
right?
Because he's had 1 solid year, 1 really good year, and then because that last year was his 3rd year, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
So he had his rookie year injured, missed almost all of his rookie year, had a solid year his 2nd year, and then a really, really good year. If it keeps on that track, he'll be a top 5 corner next year. I don't have a doubt in my mind about that. But 1 more injury, and then we're shooting 50-50 on seasons that he's been hurt. And that's kind of my biggest issue with him, and that's the only reason that I didn't have him on my list. He very easily could have slid in between 8 and 10, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a good point. The injury concern, like the best ability is availability, all that stuff. It's definitely valid. It's definitely something that they'll have to look at. And he'll be playing next to a former Buck, Carlton Davis. Carlton lining up on the outside. So we'll see how that works. Carlton Davis did not come anywhere near my top 10, despite
me neither. Not even remotely close.
Yeah, wasn't really crossing my mind. No disrespect to Carlton Davis, but but
he played in Detroit last year. He played good in Detroit. He just did not really play good in Tampa. So
and he was dealt a tough hand in Detroit. Like there was so much going on that defense. Like Aiden Hutchinson went down, and then they had to. Yeah, it was a weird year for Detroit last year on their defense too. So it was cool to see Carlton Davis get paid. He seems like a nice enough guy. So at least he's getting paid. But if you want to get your wardrobe paid, if you want to get like the Carlton Davis contract, but for your wardrobe, gosh, that was a stretch. But head to shop.rblrsports.com for some really great gear. We've got some really cool stuff on there for any of your Tampa Bay sports needs, whether you're shopping Rowdies, Bucks, Lightning, Rays, Sun, we've got it all. And we'll give you a promo code Cannon, CANNONS. Type that in for 10% off your entire order. We'd certainly appreciate it. Definitely head there and check it out. I believe, Musab, you were always rocking the RBLR.
Oh, yes, I am. Hey, I was just going to say, if you're trying to get paid, you should walk in your boss's office and let him know while repping RBLR. Hey, boss, you know what? I've been working real hard. I've been listening to RBLR. I deserve to get paid more.
That's right. If you're trying to get paid to listen to RBLR while on the job, then
Yeah, maybe not a great idea to tell them that.
Oh yeah. Just walk in and just be like, hey, I am not doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm instead listening to Carter, Musab, and Zach talk about the Bucs all day. So why anyone would put themselves through that, I don't know. But we'll get to this next part of our list, because this is where things get a little bit more interesting, and I don't want to say heated, because I don't think any of us are going to be passionately defending any of these picks, but there's a bit more variety, a bit more disagreement between all of us. I found even for the top 6, even for the top 3, like there is a little bit of variance, which I love, because that means that there's something to talk about. It's not just Myles Garrett's probably the best. It's not just everyone just nodding their heads in agreement. There's actually something to talk about. So we'll get right into it. DJ Reed, he's the next guy from the Jets on our list. And then Jalen Johnson from the Bears. We all had him ranked 7th. So that's the one unanimous decision that we had on this list. And then Marlon Humphrey was sort of the next in the total points accumulation. I had him ranked 3rd. We'll get into that. And then Trent McDuffie from Kansas City. I am sorry, Trent. I forgot about him on my initial list. I had to change it up and then include him at 6. And someone had him ranked as high as 3rd, which more power to you. That's cool. So we'll get into those names. First of all, Trent McDuffie, who had him 3rd? Because that's awesome. Like, I love that, balls to the wall. Musab, Zach, which one?
I had him at 4.
Yeah, no, I'm Mr. Balls to the wall.
Hell yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I went Trent McDuffie at number 3. I feel like, first of all, when it comes to snap versatility, he's top 5 in slot boundary hybrid usage. PFF coverage grade was at 89. Yards per target was 4.6, which is pretty elite. So he's a unique weapon, elite on the inside and the outside. I feel like, the Chiefs trust him to shadow top receivers, work from the slot, coverage numbers, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I have him up there. I feel like, he wasn't. I've always been a kind of Chiefs hater, and sometimes I've been, watching the Chiefs, looking for their downfall, and I've been fortunate enough to see Trent McDuffie in action, and he deserves his flowers. So a little bit balls to the wall, but you know what? I can see him at number 3 though.
Absolutely.
Number 3 is not bad. I have him at 4 just because I like Derek Stingley more, and those two to me were kind of interchangeable on my list. But McDuffie is the highest graded and PFF graded in advanced coverage skills. He's been the top. He's the number 2. I believe he's been 2nd in the last 3 years and 1st the last 2 years of PFF advanced coverage skills. He's just kind of been underrated. Everyone always talks about Kansas City's offense, and we're never really talking about their defense. And usually I'd say it's for good reason, because their defense hasn't been great, but he's been a very solid player on that defense.
Yeah. And it's a shame because unfortunately, like, I don't know that anyone will really push back on this. He's not the best player on that defense, but on a lot of other defenses, he would be, like you think of Kansas City's defense, your mind automatically goes to Chris Jones, and rightfully so, best defensive tackle in football. But Trent McDuffie, really, really good. I'm glad someone had him ranked as high as 3rd. That's a good shout, Musab. I love it. So another guy that I wanted to focus on from this list was Marlon Humphrey, because I had him ranked 3rd. The way that you described Trent McDuffie, like super versatile, kind of plays all over the place, kind of a Swiss Army knife kind of player. That's how I view Marlon Humphrey too. Because Marlon Humphrey, I mean, my goodness, I think of him as being like one of the best slot corners in football. And he had, tied for 2nd in interceptions. Not that it really matters, but, it's kind of fun. So I don't know. Marlon Humphrey has been a stalwart in that Ravens defense for the past, his whole career, really. So I gave him that 3rd spot, but I can definitely, him and Trent McDuffie are very similar players, and they're both equally deadly. They're both equally good, really. So yeah, I wanted to hear y'all's thoughts. Zach, how do you feel about Marlon Humphrey versus?
I had Marlon ranked at 6. And I will say between 3 and 7 could be interchange. Well, 3 and 6, because I think Jalen Johnson is a step down from 3 to 6. Not by much, but I think he's a little bit of a step down.
Sure.
I love Marlon Humphrey. The biggest problem for me is that he is one of the best slot corners in the league. It's not necessarily like he could play outside. I don't think that it would hurt him if he played outside. Like, it wouldn't hurt the team. But I kind of value outside corners higher than I value slot corners, because, slot corners could be a safety. They could be, it could be a lot of things. So that was the main reason why I valued him below like 3, 4, 5, because he is a slot guy.
I get you. Yeah, it brings up another point, talking about like slot corners versus outside guys, how you value that. It's tough because like there are a lot of guys in the NFL that line up in the slot that are their team's best wide receiver. Like I know Chris Godwin, not necessarily wide receiver 1, but like Chris Godwin's really good wide receiver, but he's great in the slot. Cooper Kupp, great wide receiver, but lines up in the slot. So there's just a lot of guys that line up there. So, it's not necessarily like, it's not nearly as much of an afterthought, but I definitely feel you. Cause like, they're not, Justin Jefferson's not lining up in the slot, AJ Brown isn't always going to line up in the slot. So I do understand where you're coming from. It's definitely an interesting conversation. Like there's not a right answer. It's definitely one of those squishy things that's constantly, I think, being up for debate. So we'll see. It's going to be a really, really interesting season to see how the Ravens play it out with Marlon Humphrey, if they continue to line him up in the slot or maybe move around a little bit more. But he was a guy that I wanted to focus on as well. But one guy I didn't have ranked that y'all did, DJ Reed. I wanted to hear y'all's thoughts. Musab, what motivated you to get Reed on your list? You only had him 9th, yeah?
Yep, I had him at 9th. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, I think DJ Reed deserves his flowers. He was 4th in the NFL with, tight window target rate, forced incompletion about 18%. I mean, he is, I would say, thinking about it now, he's an underrated corner. He's on the opposite side of Sauce Gardner. I feel like he handles his own, he handles his island responsibilities, plays aggressive, physicality. Same thing goes for the Marlon Humphrey. I was just going to say 3 to 5 is, my McDuffie, Derek Stingley, and then Marlon Humphrey. I mean, it's all interchangeable. But, I got Marlon Humphrey at my number 5 because, just the physicality. But, Yeah,
DJ Reed's a fascinating kind of, I don't know. There are a lot, like there's some people that I have, I won't name names because they're friends of mine, but they think DJ Reed is better than Sauce Gardner, which.
Well, you're lunatics.
Hey, that's why I said I'm not.
You're a lunatic.
Yeah, I'm not, like I said, not shouting anybody out, but he's a really good cornerback, like no doubt about it. He was definitely a name that just missed my list for sure. And
just a damn shame. Yeah, they both play for the Jets.
Right.
Yeah, he plays for the Lions now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he moved to Detroit.
So on the Lions, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
If I'm not mistaken, he's a bit undersized.
Mm-hmm.
He's not everyone knows who DJ Reed is, and like it's understandable. But he's the last several years he's had like the 5th best PFF coverage grade, and he's never in the last 6 seasons not had an overall PFF grade under 70.
Wow. Hey, there's another Kansas State legend who's also 5'9", and he could also have a feature like DJ Reed.
Heck
His name is Jacob Parrish.
I hope it works out that way. He's going to be more of a slot guy, unfortunately, but
right.
But hey, I actually had DJ Reed as my 5th best corner, mostly because you're playing on the opposite side of Sauce Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
Sauce Gardner is one of the best corners in the league. Not taking that away from him at all, which means that most of the time the ball's coming to your side.
Right.
Put up good numbers like he's putting up and having the ball put on his side so often. I think he deserves a little bit of recognition.
100%. Yeah. No, DJ Reed, really great shout. I love bringing him up. So finishing us off, we're going to get into the final 3, which I think there might be, like I said, I don't want to say a hot debate or anything, but the final three guys, in case you haven't been paying attention, it's Derek Stingley Jr., Sauce Gardner, and then Patrick Surtain from the Broncos. I was surprised that we weren't more consensus that those were the top three. All of us had. Well, actually, no, I don't want to speak because I believe it was Zach. You had them 1, 2, 3, but Musab and myself, like I had Sauce.
I had Stingley at 4. Yeah,
Musab had Stingley at 4. So it's really interesting. Like now that I'm looking back, I'm like, Sauce is probably 3rd and Marlon Humphrey's probably 4th. But at the time, I was kind of feeling frisky. I was feeling weird.
Feeling crazy.
Right. I was influenced. Right. Exactly. So yeah, I wanted to, because Musab, you had Patrick Surtain number 2, right? So what went into your thought process in ranking Sauce over Patrick Surtain?
This was just because, Patrick Surtain was number 1 this past season. He was Defensive Player of the Year. So I feel like, to run it back, it's going to be hard. I feel like he's going to have an absolute, amazing, season. I'm sure he will. He's still a young guy, young baller. But I feel like, I think it's going to be Sauce this year. I feel like we've done this in the past with the kind of 1-2, and this is kind of the thing where it's Patrick Surtain and Sauce Gardner are my 1-2. Just watching, both Sauce and Surtain's tape, just unbelievable. Lining up against all kinds of receivers, big body, twitchy ones, all of them. So, that's why I had Surtain at 2. But, he had a phenomenal season, man.
Yeah. Surtain is, he's tough. I don't know. I don't know that he'll be moved from number 1, barring some like ridiculously low point in his career move for the next few years, for me at least. Like he's kind of on a different level for me. But Sauce is great too. He just got paid, and Sauce is now the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. So there's something to that. So I thought that was really interesting. But Derek Stingley, the kind of 3rd guy on this list, none of us had him ranked 1st, rightfully so. I don't think that there's any argument there. But y'all had him 4th and 3rd. I had him 2nd because Patrick Surtain for me is like, up there. But Derek Stingley, like he was the interceptions leader again. Not that it matters too much, but kind of fun. But he also had the lowest NFL passer rating against, which I thought was really, really cool. And he's pretty much 2nd in a lot of other really major categories too, like like the forced incompletion percentage or anything like that, pass breakups and highest yardage allowed. Like he was pretty low on those lists too. So Zach, what's your thoughts on Derek Stingley? You had him 3rd, yeah?
Yep. So there's nothing bad about Derek Stingley. And
right.
He had a really bad rookie season. Got
off to a rough start.
Rookie season. Everyone was like, oh, they screwed up taking him 3. And he turned it around. Since the last 2 seasons, he's had 12 interceptions, which I know it's not a big stat in the NFL. Like, oh, good for you, you led league interceptions. That's a takeaway. That's a stop score.
Absolutely.
You got to at least factor it in a little bit. And over the last 2 seasons, he's averaged a 90.3 PFF grade, which is the best in the league. Not taking that away from him, but he does play kind of a if there was a gunslinger on defense, like that's kind of what I picture with Derek Stingley. It's like high risk, high reward.
Sure.
It's either gonna be an interception or a 10-yard, gain.
Sure.
Which I love. I love that mindset in playing corner. I just couldn't rate him above Sauce and PS2. I'm those two are, in my opinion, this is the first time where I go like 1 and 2 you could interchange, and I wouldn't be upset about it. But if you put Stingley above them, I'd be like, I'd have questions. So that was my question to you, Carter, is what in your mind puts him above Sauce and the fact of like what he does for his team?
It's tough, because like you said, it's very much like it's hard to remove the context of what a player does in the context of his whole team, right? Like Derek Stingley this past year got to play behind, I think, Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson, right? Those are the 2 edge rushers for the Houston Texans. That's a great pass rush. Like that's really, really good. Like that's not top 10 or top 3 in football necessarily, but it's definitely top 10, maybe even top 5. So that's one thing. Plus, he's playing in the AFC South. Like he got to play the Indianapolis Colts 2 times. He got to play the Jaguars twice. there's some awful. They got to play the Titans twice. Like there's some awful teams that he was playing against in that division. So I definitely get a lot of the arguments.
But I mean, you could also say that towards Sauce. Like realistically, I mean, he played against New England.
Sure, but he also played against Buffalo twice.
Buffalo is the one outlier there. Is in like, okay, this team is definitely the best team in the conference. So I agree with that.
Yeah, so it's tough. I definitely understand. Plus, Sauce Gardner is, he's got that name recognition. Like his name's literally Sauce. Like how can that not be one of the best players in football? And he's also like third fewest targets, like highest forced incompletion percentage, first in snaps per reception. So basically, like they're just like you said with DJ Reed when we were talking about him. The quarterbacks are just saying, "Oh, there's Sauce. I'm throwing it over here." They're just. Yeah, they just like look at where Sauce is and they're like, yeah, I'm going in the opposite direction. So I totally get it. I don't know. Maybe it's the LSU thing. Maybe that's what's getting me.
There it is. We got it.
There you go. Okay, you got him.
We got him.
Right. No, I'm just kidding. No, they're very interchangeable for me. Like Stingley and Sauce, like the margin is razor thin. Like when we have these top 10 discussions, a lot of these guys are such elite players that like we're really having to nitpick here. We're having to find flaws and otherwise really tremendous players. So they're very close. Like someone says Sauce Gardner is better than Derek Stingley. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know that there's a good answer.
Yeah, I just can't agree with a lunatic that says Sauce Gardner is better than Patrick Surtain.
Oh yeah, Musab Tariq.
Okay. That pause made me pause for a second. At first, I was like, "Man, who are you talking about?" But hey, man, anything can happen. I feel like we're all gonna be wrong, but what I'm looking forward to is
I like it. I like the confidence.
What I'm looking forward to is who's gonna pop up out of nowhere. What if Nate Wiggins, for example, just absolutely has a monster season? I don't know. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's just like those kind of neighborhoods. Yeah. I mean, I know I had Quinion Mitchell on my honorable mention as well. I know you gave him a shout out, Zach. So yeah, who knows what happens? But there's a lot to think about. But I mean, guys, is there any chance you would have sneaked any of our corners? And Zach already said no before I finished the question.
I knew right where you were going. They're not even in the top 15.
Any chance you think from what you've seen that Benjamin Morrison or Jacob Parrish could sneak in an honorable mention next year based on what you've seen or what you know?
I mean, I was going to say maybe in 2 years because realistically, outside of Sauce Gardner, I don't think any of these guys would be on this list after their rookie season. And that's not a dig at any of these. I think corner is a really hard position to come into in the NFL from college because it's such a different scene. Do I think Morrison and Parrish can be good? Yes. More so, in my opinion, Morrison over Parrish, and that's not a dig at Parrish. I just think he is an undersized guy. He's going to play slot. So, I think that a big part of Morrison is if he can stay healthy because he has dealt with issues. And also whenever we get rid of Jamel Dean because he's not going to get all the playing time until Dean's gone.
Well, who knows, Zach? Maybe, it's going to be a Sauce DJ Reed situation with Parrish and Morrison, if
that would be cool, but then we'd have to lose
quarterback's going to be looking like, Morrison's got our guy locked down. Okay, boom, we're throwing to Parrish. And that's how Parrish gets my number 9 next season.
Yeah, if Jacob Parrish ends up like DJ Reed, even like 60 or 70%, that's a huge win for the Bucs. That's a massive W for them. I don't know. I'm hopeful. Like I hope that Benjamin Morrison has a good year, but because the missed games for Jamel Dean are coming. Do
we want to give Zion McCollum his flowers or no?
He's tough, man. I love Zion. He got off to a blazing start last year, but he cratered. And he cratered a bit hard because he's a tough one though. He's probably one of the prototypical examples of like if you're going to depend on like counting stats like pass breakups or like forced incompletion totals as opposed to rate stats. Like he was 3rd in forced incompletions, 3rd in pass breakups, but 4th highest yardage allowed, middle of the pack in passer rating allowed when targeted. So is he like, if you were looking at just counting stats where like, oh, this guy's making an impact, then it's like, oh, Zion McCollum's pretty good. But then you actually look at like, oh, but he's giving up a lot.
Like
too.
looking at Winston's stats when he was our quarterback.
Exactly.
Oh, wow, Winston got a lot of touchdowns. Oh, okay, never mind. He got a lot of interceptions as well.
Yeah, 100%. So he's a tough one. I don't know. It's tough because I do think that he's a starting NFL cornerback. Is he a very good one? Like
no, I'm right there with you. No, I'm right there with y'all guys. We've been, crapping on our DB room for a long time. So how can we sneak any of our guys, in our top 10?
Yeah, I mean, Zion was the 54th ranked or graded corner in PFF. 59.5. He only had 2 interceptions.
Right. Yeah.
But if you look at pass breakups, you're right. He was in second place in pass breakups with 13.
Right.
So like I think with McCollum, if you're a fan of Tampa, you can go into it, and this is my problem with just like looking at the stats, is you could find stats that say he's really good or really bad.
Yeah.
It's however you want to look at it, because if you want to look at it glass half full, 13 pass breakups, that's good.
Yeah.
That's in the league. That's really good. But then you go, oh, well, he only had 2 interceptions, which is 15th in the league. Not bad. And then you look at, all right, well, he was 54th in overall grade. How does that translate from 2nd and 15th?
Right.
So it's hard with him. I think that he has the physical tools to be really good.
Oh, I think our man Zach Blaine.
I think Zach. Oh, for a second, I thought I froze.
No, you're good. I think our man Zach.
I know he was talking about physical tools.
So and that was the big. Oh, is he back? Well, regardless, that was the big thing with Zion. Like that's why the Bucs drafted him, is because he was uber athletic. But yeah, he hasn't quite been able to put it together nearly as much as I think Jason Light would have hoped, or any of us would have hoped, really. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I was not pounding the table, but I was kind of a Zion defender. It's tough now. It's definitely a good bit harder. But at the same time, like I totally get giving him another year, because he showed signs of being okay, and he showed some signs of not being so good. So I can definitely see both ways. But we'll see how it goes this year. He's got another year to figure some stuff out. Because Benjamin Morrison and Jacob Parrish, they are coming, and the Bucs, I'm sure, are going to continue to look at that position, especially because I don't see them re-signing Jamel Dean, and frankly, I don't see them re-signing Zion McCollum either. So, I think they're going to reinvest in the cornerback position again in this upcoming draft potentially. But we'll let our listeners go. Mr. Blaine dipped out on us, but it happens. Where the technology sometimes gets the better of us. But thank y'all for sticking around and listening to us. We really appreciate y'all. We'll be back next week with another ranking. We'll see what position we decide. Just tune in and find out. It'll be a little surprise. There he is. There's Mr. Blaine. He's back.
Right on time.
There we go. Right on time. We're about to say goodbye. Do y'all have any closing thoughts or any, things you want to say about the cornerback position before we log off?
I think let's see if, I don't know what just happened, but something went crazy at my house apparently. I think the biggest thing is that this is a position that could change drastically. Like,
yes,
I feel like a name pops up every year that we're like, who the hell is that guy? And he ends up being really, really good. Malcolm Butler years ago, like there's just I would have never expected that are really good for 3 or 4 years, and then you don't hear from them again. So I think this list is going to be probably one of the most changing lists over the years.
Yes, I think that's probably the most insightful way to put it. Like there's they talk about sticky stuff, like sticky stats and all that stuff. None of that applies for cornerbacks. There is nothing sticky about cornerback performance in terms of production. There's just so much out of their control. There's just so many things that it's hard to account for without just like sitting and meticulously watching plays. And even then, you still are like, you have a better understanding, but it's still not a full grasp. So it's going to be tough. Musab, how about you, man? You got any closing thoughts for us? Or
no, man, this is a real hard position. I mean, as Zach was saying, I expect this to change every single year. I mean, you have dudes just locking up guys, and then boom, 1 or 2 plays, they get burnt, and now they're on social media everywhere, as a clown. So it's tough out here, man.
Yeah, and it's real easy to pick on these guys. It's real easy to like pile on, like, oh, look at him, he got burnt by Justin Jefferson. Like, okay, who hasn't? Like, oh, he got cooked by Jamar Chase. Like, oh, okay.
I mean, you seriously need like speed and strength. You need everything. The fluidity, just all of it.
You're spot on. I feel like corner is one of those positions. Almost every time you see a highlight play in the NFL, it's on a corner. Like Derrick Henry stiff arming a corner, like a wide receiver mossing a corner, or a safety, like defensive back in general. I feel like it's one of the most scrutinized positions in football because that's what they see. Like if you don't watch the Bills play football and you watch Tre'Davious White get stiff armed by Derrick Henry, that's all you know Tre'Davious White from. So it's understandable why it's such a weird and changing position.
For sure. Yeah, so we'll see next year who we got on our list. I'm sure we'll have some more differing opinions. We'll see if Garrett Williams maintains his success from this year, and if maybe he sneaks onto y'all's list, or maybe not. We'll see. But really appreciate our fans for tuning in. Really appreciate my co-host for making my job a lot easier. And we'll see y'all next week. Give us a follow at RBLR Sports or at RBLR Bucs. But until then, and as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.